What is up, J-Bays? How y'all doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Rebecca J on your screen. Let's get into it. So, welcome to a new episode of adoptive parents being terrible people. So, I covered this story briefly on my TikTok, but I wanted to dive into it a little bit more, so I wanted to bring it over to YouTube to discuss it. So, there's a case of these two white adoptive parents in Washington State, which I am from, and unfortunately, Washington State has a lot of very terrible adoptive parents. But on the flip side, they've actually gotten pretty strict and pretty inclusive of their adoption and fostering laws over the past few years, which is where this story comes into play. This Christian foster family are trying to sue the state of Washington because they were denied a renewal of their foster license because they refuse to call foster children by their preferred gender pronouns. Yes. You heard that right. This couple is literally trying to sue the state because the state is asking them to not be assholes. Can you think of anything more white? So this story came out in March of this year, 2024. The family, the DeGrosses, fitting, they're trying to argue that it goes against their religion to use children's preferred gender pronouns if they're not, I guess, what they deem to be acceptable. So in the lawsuit, it states, and I'm reading this from the Washington Times, it says the DeGrosses are religiously motivated to provide foster care and religiously motivated to live out their faith at home and express their religious views on human sexuality at home. Pause.
What? What the fuck?
You already lost me at religiously motivated to foster because that's not a reason to foster. So what you're saying is you are colonizing children. Okay. You lost me there, but okay, girl. The lawsuit goes on to say that the department that they're suing, the Department of Family Services, is basically challenging their ability to provide foster care on their willingness to do things that violates their religious beliefs, like using self-selected pronouns or taking a child to pride parades. And then they further go on to allege that the state is putting children at risk by denying them and other people like them licenses to foster, lack of foster families, I guess, in Washington State. So there's an overabundance of foster children, basically. So the lawsuit goes on to say that the refusal to renew their license after 9 years of fostering comes even though the state continues to struggle with recruiting and retaining caregivers, especially those with skills, ability, and desire to parent children and youth with complex needs. But here's the thing, you already just told us in the same lawsuit that your desire is not driven by love and parenting, it's religion. Also, you don't have the skills and the ability to parent if you can't do basic things like respect a child for who they are. If you can't do a simple thing like use pronouns correctly, then you're not a safe and loving home for those children to go to. So in this article, they go on to talk about how the Washington State foster care is in a huge crisis right now. So it's at the point where like children are sleeping in hotels, state offices, and cars, but the state continues to turn away foster parents. Specifically, they just happen to usually be Christian foster parents who won't abide by these rules, including using the children's preferred pronouns. And this comes from a law, or actually it's more of a regulation, a foster regulation that was put into place in the Washington State foster care system that requires family to provide resources that, quote, support and affirms their needs regarding race, religion, culture, and SOGI, which stands for sexual orientation and gender identity expression. Suggestions include displaying pride flags or similar indicators. Basically, because Washington State, again, which is where I'm from and where my adoption took place, and I know pretty much everybody in my family who's adopted, which there's about 14 of us, all went through the Washington State adoption and foster system, right? It was not always this inclusive. So it's like they're taking steps to doing things that are more inclusive that actually put the needs of children first. And these white evangelicals Christians are mad about it because they're being denied human trafficking because they think they're entitled to take people's children and colonize them with religion. And baby, that's not what you're here to do. And I'm so sorry that you are not allowed to legally be hateful, but guess what, babes? You'll be fine.
Know your fucking place, trash.
So these new regulations are just requiring foster families to actually put the needs of adoptees and foster children first instead of their own selfish, self-motivated, religious, whatever bullshit it is. Because again, you should only be adopting or fostering if it is what's the best decision for the child, and that child's needs comes first, not you. So you already told us grosses in your lawsuit that you're religiously motivated to foster, that should disqualify you automatically, because that's not a reason to foster. You should be fostering with the intent of reunifying that child with their family or somebody who is a part of their kin. It should not be for you to prey on children in whatever way that may be. And I think the kids would much prefer it. Matter of fact, I know for sure. And actually, I just had a meeting with every adoptee and foster kid in the world. We just had a quick meeting real fast. And they don't want to come with you. They don't want to be adopted by you. They don't want to be fostered by you. We're actually so good. But thank you so much for the offer, but we're good. As far as I know, this case hasn't actually made any leeway. Like I said, the lawsuit was filed in March of 2024. I haven't been able to find an update on that since then, but because it's quite literally in the regulations for fostering, they don't really have a case. They're trying to argue discrimination with discrimination. They're trying to argue that it is their religious right to be homophobic. And that's not how that works, girly pop. I mean, nice try. You really tried. I've got to say that's a very creative argument, but it's not going to cut it, because the state did what they were supposed to do. Because listen, you don't have to. If you want to be homophobic, have fun. You want to be transphobic, good for you. But if you want to do that, then you don't get to foster. Okay, you don't get to adopt. You don't get to be around children. You don't get to be around queer people, because you are not a safe place for those people to be. You see how that works? Great. Works for everybody. You stay away from us, we'll stay away from you. Amazing. When people are denied like adoption or fostering privileges, it's strange to me, because why are you so hell-bent on taking other people's kids? It's a very strange thing to me. Why are you so insistent that you are deserving of somebody else's child, especially if you're fostering? Because the whole point of fostering is to rehabilitate that person back into the world, preferably back with their family. That's not you, because you are not their family. So the fact that you would be so mad that you are no longer deemed fit to be a safe, accepting place for children to be raised, whether or not those children are queer or otherwise, says more about you, babes. Maybe you should work on you, okay? Because if the state, the literal state, the state that don't give a fuck about nobody or nothing, if the state is saying that you're unfit, you got to be really unfit, girly pop. So yeah, wish nothing but the worst to you and yours, okay? And that's it for today's video, y'all. As always, don't be an asshole. Click the subscribe button, like, share this with your asshole uncle and auntie who are also evangelical Christians who like to prey on people in the foster and adoption industry. Other than that, we'll see you next time. Bye.